Hey guys, Dread here. So, I've been getting a lot of messages recently, and it's been getting harder and harder to reply to everyone. And I try to, I try to make a point of waking up every morning. I look at my phone, and I try to reply to all the messages I'm getting. And I've been realizing, and I try to read all of the comments and all of the comments and the notifications that you get through Twitter. And I've realized that recently it's taken me longer and longer to do so just because of the follower count getting higher and higher. And, the reality is that the follower count doesn't make any difference to my life, really. I'm still putting out the same sort of content that I was when I had 2,000 followers. The only difference is that it takes longer to check through everything in the morning. That's really the only difference. So checking everyone's messages and replying has been a part of that. It's been tricky. So I've been trying to think of ways. How can I improve that? How can I answer more people? And a part of it was, well, maybe why don't we do a video every other day or every week and answer questions? So other people can maybe get some use out of the questions that are being asked. And I try to answer everyone. I really do. I apologize if people have been left hanging, because I know people have. But I'm gonna do a short Q&A type thing now. But if people like this and it's helpful and people find value in it, then maybe we'll just extend it and we'll make it as long as it needs to be, and we'll just crack through a bunch of questions and we'll see how it goes. I'm nice and relaxed. We're going to keep it really, really free form, and we're not going to try and be professional. I think a lot of people know I'm not the professional type. So I've got a tea. I'm ready. I'm going to answer a few questions. I've got about 5 here at the moment, but I know there's a lot more. But we'll keep it short today. But and I'm not going to mention names because I don't know whether people want their names mentioned or anything. So if people do in the future, let me know and I can incorporate your names. But as of this one, we'll keep it anonymous, I guess, just out of respect for people who don't want their questions asked. So yeah, let's just go. So the first question I got was, "Hey Dread, love your content. Quick question: what project do you think will perform the best this year out of Lunar, Unizen, and Quant?" So that's a tricky one for different reasons. The projects are in different places, different market caps, different parts of their developments. So it's hard to give a direct answer on that. But I think they'll all do very well this year, personally. I think when you look at Terra and what they're building, the entire ecosystem, they're at a completely different place to most projects. And it's truly exciting to see what they're building. I know recently I've been talking to people and asking, because it's hard to keep track of how many protocols and apps and dApps are in development at the moment, and I'm sure even Doe's having trouble keeping up with it all. But I think there's around 16 protocols we know about. But there was recently a hackathon, and there was over 60 applications and protocols that were being developed there. So there's a lot going on at Terra. There's a lot, and we've said it before, but the more protocols that are built, the more demand there is for UST, stablecoin, and the more demand there is for UST, the more Luna that is going to be burnt. So if 2021 is truly the year where these protocols really start taking off and demand for UST skyrockets, because it passed $2 billion in market cap today, and there's only DAI, Binance USD, USDC, and USDT above it, then the price of Luna is going to do very, very well this year, because the demand is programmed. Essentially, it's programmed. The demand is there for UST, so the burn rate of Luna will increase. And if the burn rate of Luna increases, the price is going to follow. So right now, I've not checked in the last 6 or 7 hours, but I imagine the price of Luna is around $16 to $17 at the moment. And if we get that demand that I think Luna will get this year, or Terra will get this year, I think the price of Luna is going to follow and have a similar year to what it did last year. And even if it has half the growth they had last year, because it's a high market cap right now. But the interesting thing about Luna is that the price will outperform the market cap, which is unique, really. Not a lot of projects have that. So I think Luna's going to do very, very well. On the other hand, Quant's an interesting one at the moment. I think the thing with Quant is that they don't operate the same way that most projects operate, and the team don't. I think it's no secret that they're not the biggest fan of crypto, and the community side of things have waned. And they are hiring a community manager, which has been needed for a long, long time. And, you know, they have tried in the past to fill that role, and it hasn't happened. And certain things have happened to make that tricky. But they are trying to mitigate that gap, but they need to do a lot more than just hire a community manager at this point. And I think they're... what's the word? I think the fact that they don't see the crypto and community side as a bigger deal as the enterprise side, I think it's a detriment. And I think they could do a lot more to improve those side of things. And I think if they do begin to see it in a different light, I think that as an investment for the community and the investors, things will start to improve. I think as long as they see the retail and community side as secondary to the enterprise side, it's gonna hold us back. And I don't like saying that, you know, but I it's just the truth. On the other hand, the Overledger network is set to launch within the next 2 months, I think. Yeah, around 60 days, so around 2 months. If the Overledger network launches and they put some publicity around it in terms of announcements and news, because they're going to need people to be excited about it if they're going to join the network, and they want developers to start building and developing apps, they're going to need to build some excitement around this and get the word out. Then who knows? You know, who knows? That could be the catalyst that a lot of people have been waiting for the last couple of years. So Quant's a strange one for me. And Quant, I'm at a point with Quant where I have my position and I am happy to let it do its thing, personally. You know, if it takes another 6 months, if it takes another year, if it takes another 2 years, it doesn't matter as far as I'm concerned, because I have my position built, secure, and based on how things go, I will add to it, but I won't take away from it. So I'm willing to sit on my Quant investment for as long as it takes, you know, and it's ride or die essentially. If things kind of go down the shitter, then that's it. That's the path that it's going to have to take. But I know a lot of people aren't in that position. So as far as this year, I think it has the potential to do very well. I think it has the potential to break out. We're just below all-time highs now. It has the potential to absolutely break out and have an incredible run. But I do think that there needs to be improvements around the way the team is operating at the moment in regards to the crypto side of things. And they will see it differently. I have no doubts they will see it differently. And, you know, they know what's going on behind the scenes, and there's probably a reason why they're just favouring the enterprise side and concentrating on that so much. But just because they see it differently doesn't mean that I agree, and I don't agree. So I think Quant's a tricky one. I think Unizen, on the other hand, I think Unizen's going to do very well this year, personally. I think Unizen, we have a really unique product. There's nothing else like it out there. I think it's already done incredibly well coming out the gate, and I do believe that when the product launches, and I'm not sure, I think I would guess it's around a month's time, I'm not sure, but when the product launches, people need to realize that there's going to be Binance and Uniswap liquidity going through Unizen out the gate, and that's huge. Everything that's made Binance what it is will be accessible through Unizen, which is huge. You know, the products, the security, the performance, and the liquidity. And I think Unizen just has an incredible roadmap, and I think Unizen has an incredible future. Really, when we talk about the fact that they can just add exchanges in a modular fashion, it's unique, and there's always going to be constant improvement. There's always going to be constant add of liquidity, and I think with their multi-asset staking that's going to be launching probably soon after launch, that is I think a lot of ZCX is going to be locked up, and I know I'll be locking up pretty much all of my ZCX, because that multi-asset staking is going to be very, very valuable, and passive income is the dream. That's what I want. That's what everyone wants, and I think that just those two things alone, the launch of the platform, people will see how powerful Unizen is. The Binance liquidity, Uniswap, and whatever else they have at launch, and the multi-asset staking, I think that's enough to see prices a lot higher than they are now, in my opinion. And of course, we have to stress this is not financial advice, but just my opinion. But I do think that we will see prices a lot higher just from those alone. So by the end of the year, I couldn't give you a price, but by the end of the year, I think we're in a very different position. In my opinion, if I had to give you to answer the question, I would say it would be between Luna and Unizen. I think Quant has the potential to outperform both of them, but I would need to see a bit more personally. That's my answer. We'll go with question 2. I just started this Twitter account and I want to do it the right way. Do you have any tips for me on how I can give as much value as possible to you and others? How can I grow this Twitter account as quickly as possible so that people see my valuable content? And I'm going to take a sip of my tea. I've recently started having not recently, I'd say the last 6 months, but I've been having tea without milk. I haven't had milk in a long time. Like, I haven't drunk milk in probably about 4 months now, and I feel amazing. Like, I used to get all this bloatedness in my stomach. I used to get I used to lay in bed and get all this kind of bubbling in my stomach. And I would lay there and be like, oh, I feel like absolute shit. And I cut out milk. And since then, it's been amazing, man. And I have this weak ass, it's not even black tea. It's kind of like a light brown tea. It looks like piss. But it's really good. It's really nice. But I don't know why. Okay, we'll go back to the question. How can I grow this Twitter account as quickly as possible so that people see my valuable content? So yeah, I guess there's no easy fix really for how quickly you can grow a Twitter account, unless you want to go and buy followers and you know, do it that way and say, oh look, I've got 100,000 followers and you know, every post has 2 likes on it. It just looks strange. You can definitely fake it until you make it, but I wouldn't recommend that. There's no easy fix for you know, how quickly you can do it. You have to do it the right way, and it really comes down to consistency. It's all about consistency. If you are consistently pumping out valuable quality content, then people respect that. People come back. They wake up and they think, oh, I wonder what they've tweeted today. Or I wonder what they've put out today, because they expect it. It's consistency. And I have a family member who puts out YouTube content, and it's all about consistency. It's all about making sure you hit that every single day, and finding your niche and finding what you're good at. You know, I'm not the most technical person. I'm not, but I am creative. I'm a creative person. I've always been a very creative person, and, you know, making graphics, and, you know, I feel like I have a good head on my shoulders. So explaining things the right way and trying to condense complex, you know, matters and information into simple, easy to read content. I feel like I'm quite good at that, and that's what I go with. You know, I'm not technical. I couldn't break down things technically for people. And I leave that to other people, and you know what you're good at and you stick to it. So find your niche, be consistent, and and understand that it takes time. It takes a lot of time. You know, you have to have patience and you have to be willing to stick with it, because a lot of people just don't have patience in life and they want everything right now, you know, quickly. I need it right now. But if you're looking for 10,000 followers in a week, you're not going to get it. You need to have patience. And, you know, I started my Twitter account, was probably like mid to late 2018. And we're about 3 years past that now. And really only the last 6 months it's really taken off, you know. But nothing changes. It's the same thing every day. And, you know, if you know, in the future we get to 100,000 followers, it'll still be the same thing every day. It'll be waking up. It'll be checking the messages, checking the comments. It'll be creating content. What do I want to talk about today? What projects do I like? And it's all about consistency, patience, and finding out what you're good at. You know, you might be a technical wizard and you think people need to understand things from a technical perspective, and you can explain that to people, and that's your niche. You know, go to town. So that's what I would say. Those three things are important. Question 3. So, hey Bongo, humbled to hear about your beginnings and struggles, and it's inspiring me to do better. I'm just wondering if you have an exit strategy by any chance, and any tips you could share. Yeah, so an exit strategy. So that's important. I think a lot of people miss that. I think a lot of people are so caught up in the now that they forget, you know, at some point things aren't going to be this rosy. And things are very rosy, you know. I got into crypto early 2017, so relatively late, really. You know, but depending on perspective, probably people got in recently who think that's early. There's people who probably got in at 2013 who think that's late. So for me, a good 4+ years in the space. And you know, I got in at a good time, really, because everything popped off in 2017. But it was also to my detriment, because I did really well in 2017. I thought that was how things were for crypto. It was just going to go all the way up to 100,000, drag everything up. And where we are right now, I thought was going to happen in 2018. And we all know what happened. We had a bear market. I didn't have the understanding to think that, you know, the cycles, the bull markets, the bear markets, even though people would say it to you at the time, and people who were more experienced, you kind of felt like, this time it's different. But it wasn't. And we had a bear market in 2018. I took out a lot of money. So I took out a lot of money in January and February. It was January. It was late. No, it was January. And I took out money from crypto and took profits. And it was, in no way was that my intention. So at the time, you know, I didn't have a lot of money at all. And me and my wife were struggling. And I'd been doing a thing called match betting. And I won't go into it, but it was a whole thing. And it was, you know, making a little bit of money by kind of gamifying by the gambling industry. So, you know, taking advantage of free bets and etc. It was a whole thing, but I made a little bit of money from that, and I'm talking probably a you know, £500 or something like that. And I put it into crypto, and you know, by January, me and my, you know, my positions had made a nice return. You know, for me at the time, that was a lot of money. It was loads of money compared to anything I'd had in the past. And I had no intention of taking it out at all. But my wife was adamant that we need to take some of that money out, because she wanted to put it in our account and have a bit of security, you know. So I took out, you know, thousands and thousands, put it into our account, and I had no intention of doing so. And then everything dropped, but I still had a lot of money in the markets. So when we had that bear market in 2018, it was a shock, you know. It was a real shock, because just when you thought everything had bottomed, It found a new way to go down another 40%, another 50%. It was insane. And it was a real lesson, it's a real lesson in life to go through that. And I truly believe if you go through a bear market and you stick it out, you come out better on the other side. And it's the most painful lessons you could ever have, because nothing checks your ego more than trading or investing. It will absolutely knock you down to the ground, and you have to get up. And if you don't, you lose your money, you give up, and you feel like the worst person in the world. But if you keep going, you come out a better person, personally. But we had 2019, obviously the kind of sideways accumulation year, and in 2019 things started getting better. 2020 things started getting better and moving on up. And then 2021, this is where we're at the moment. So, and exit strategies are important because we are in this cycle again, and there are people who will say it's different. There are people who will say, well, the institutions are here now. So the institutions are here, and maybe this is part of the super cycle. But I still believe that we are in these boom and bust cycles still. So exit strategies are very important because we're going up and up and up at the moment. And yeah, I think 2021 is mostly going to be up. But at some point, we're going to hit a top. And when we hit a top, you want to be out of the market. You want your investments to be safe, because everything gets dragged down. And I do think there's going to be certain projects that decouple from Bitcoin and Ethereum and do their own things based on real demand. And I do think Terra, and I do think Quant. But there's nothing to say that they won't be affected still. It could be different, but it might not. So those projects, all projects, you want to first and foremost preserve your capital and your investments. And again, this isn't financial advice. This is just what I think. I think if we're at the top, I don't want to see that money drop. I don't want to see that money come down, even if it's, well, if we wait it out for a year and then the next year it'll go up again. No, I want to preserve what I have so I can buy things cheaper when it does go down. That's the plan. So really, it is assessing the market, assessing what kind of cycles we're on. I think Bob Lucas does a great job of explaining the 4-year cycles, and I do think that is essentially what we are playing with at the moment, a 4-year cycle. And I do think 2021 is going to be the year where we see the most growth. I think 2022 is tricky. I think 2022, we're going to see the top in 2022, personally. That's my opinion. I think 2022 is the year that we see the top. And I don't know where that is. I don't know whether that's Bitcoin at 150k, 200k. I've even heard 500k, based on certain models, and Plan B stock to flow model at 288,000. But yeah, we want to make sure that our investments are safe by the time we see the top, and that's always going to be tricky. And even if we see the top and recognize the top, I think that's the important thing. It's recognizing the top of the market, because even if it goes all the way up and we ride this all the way up, and then we see the top and we clearly can see the top, then it's still a good time to get out after that. Even though things will come down a little bit and we'll have the blow off top and things will come down, you'll still be up dramatically from where you are 6 months ago now, So I think recognizing the top and preserving your capital, whether that's stable coins, whether that's, moving to fiat, it's essentially moving away from the volatile investments. And I think for me personally, that's what I'm looking at. I need to see the market. I need to see a recognizable top based on, historical patterns and charts. If we can recognize the top, then moving our investments to stable, less volatile markets or, assets, and then letting the market do its thing in terms of a bear market. And I think for passive income is very important. And I think people need to now look into how they can live passively. And I think there are a lot of protocols and there are a lot of ways that we can move into passive income. But I think recognizing the top is very important, and that's the hardest thing, because emotions play a big part of this, and you think, no, maybe it's not the top, but I think a lot of people will notice it. And listen to the people who know what they're talking about. Listen to the people who really know what they're talking about. Differentiate the people who know their shit against the people who don't have a fucking clue what they're talking about. Okay? Now, I'm saying I don't know when we're going to see the top. I don't have the skill set, but I do think there are people out there who do. And I'm paying very close attention to them. So, recognize the top, and when we have an exit strategy is essentially just keeping your investments safe, in my opinion. Question 4. Where is the best place to stake Luna? Terra Station. That's where I do it. Terra Station. I think a lot of people have been asking about which validator to use. I use Terran 1. Terran 1. I'm not sure if it's the best, but that's the one I use. I know a few other people who use it. They recommended it to me, and it's been fine. But Terra Station, connect your ledger to Terra Station, and it's relatively easy. You stake, and if you want to unstake, it takes 21 days. So that you need to keep that in mind. If you want to stake your Luna, it takes 21 days to unstake. So that's what I use personally. I don't know if it's the best, but that's what I use. Question 5. I'm going to cut this. This is going to be the last question, because we've already been going half hour, and I wanted this to be about 15 minutes. So, question 5. Hey DB, where do you see ZCX by the end of the year? So yeah, we kind of already talked about this, but I see it in a lot different position than it is right now. I think Unizen is poised for large growth based on the when you look at the market caps of other exchanges. I think there are, right now we're ranging really from 60 to 80 million market cap, and there are exchanges at 250 to 500 million market cap, and I don't know a single person who trades on those exchanges, and I don't even know what some of those exchanges are. I looked through the exchanges list, and I didn't have a clue where these exchanges were, like Perpetual Protocol and a bunch of these exchanges. I don't know anyone who trades on them, but they have huge market caps and huge valuations. So that tells me that Unizen is extremely undervalued out of the gate, off the bat. And with what Unizen are building, I do believe that they're going to take a decent market share because of their uniqueness, because no one is doing what they're doing in terms of modular deep liquidity. So we always want to find projects that are undervalued. We never want to get into projects when they're the most popular. We want to get into projects when nobody's talking about them, in my opinion. So Unizen right now, yes, the product hasn't been launched, but with what they're showing, it looks extremely promising. And it all comes down to, can the team pull it off? Can they pull it off? And that will be the big question. When the exchange launches and we see it and we feel it and we're using it, is it unique? Did they pull it off? And I believe they can. I've had conversations with people on the team, and they're extremely smart from a technical perspective. They seem very, very smart, and they know what they're doing. So I think Unizen are poised to be a lot higher than where they are now, because I think at the moment they're just extremely undervalued. I think under 100 million market cap is extremely undervalued. I think they're closer when the exchange launches, and like I said before, we get the staking, we get the Binance deep liquidity, we get Uniswap, and whatever else comes with it out the gate. I do think $1 billion market cap is not out the question. That, like I said in a previous Twitter post, that's Binance is $90 billion market cap right now, and Unizen, I'm not. I would imagine, I don't have it in front of me, but I imagine Unizen is probably around 30 billion market cap. I'll tell you what, let's have a quick look. I'm gonna have a quick sip of my tea. So Uniswap is 20 billion market cap. Okay, so Uniswap is 20 billion market cap, and Binance is 94 billion market cap. Wow. So, together we have close to $120 billion market cap between them. And Unizen is going to be offering what they offer out the gate. So 1% of that, can Unizen reach 1% of those market caps? Absolutely. In my opinion, absolutely. I mean, how can it not at that point, right? So, if we get a percent of that and $1 billion market cap from this point right now, we're extremely undervalued. So do I see that end of year? Who knows? I don't think it's out of the question at all. I really don't think it's out of the question. But I understand people's skepticism. They're skeptical of that because they haven't quite looked into it as much. And I've looked into it very, very deeply. And, I wouldn't be saying this if I didn't believe it. But I do think Unizen is going to be in a very different position at the end of the year than they are right now. I think they're extremely undervalued. And there's a reason why I'm building such a strong position in Unizen. It's definitely one of my strongest, if not strongest, positions right now. So, yeah, I guess that answers the question. So I'm going to cut it short, guys, because I've been talking for 31 minutes now. And, we've only got 5 questions done. So let me know if you found this useful. Let me know if this is a good idea. And if you have any questions that you want to send me, hit me up in DMs, whether that's Telegram, whether that's Twitter. And I'll make sure to try and answer them on a format like this. And I'll try and keep the answers a bit short and concise. I like to ramble. I go off on tangents, but I'll try and keep them a bit more shorter and concise. I am working on something with a few close friends of mine at the moment in space, and we're working on a new. What would I say? We're working on a new offering to people, a new content-based structure that we want to put out to people. Which is unique, which is different, and I think people are going to enjoy it, and I think it's going to be a lot of cool content from a video and audio perspective, and I think people, it should. I think there's a gap in the market for this sort of content, and I'm excited to tell you all guys about it soon. But we'll announce that when it's ready. But yeah, if you have any questions, let me know. DM me, and I'll answer them on this program. And maybe in the future we'll keep an hour. We'll stretch it to an hour, and we'll answer a bunch of questions. And you guys can chuck whatever you want at me. It doesn't have to be about crypto. It could be about anything you want. What football team do I support? Do I like MMA? All of that crap. So yeah, it's been cool doing this. The tea's getting cold now, so it's a good time to stop. But until the next time, have a good one, guys.